All right, guys, I have a good video for you here today. This is basically Michael Knowles debating two liberals at once on Piers Morgan about just stuff going on in the world. So the guy on the left, you will see the one that looks like the Indian Justin Bieber. That is Shri Thanedar. He is a congressman out of Michigan. The guy on the right, his name is like Jack Cocchiello, something like that. He's just basically like a Harry Sisson, Dean Withers kind of guy. To put it in perspective, what his views are, he thinks Joe Biden's the greatest president to ever exist. So they're both debating. Michael Knowles, which you probably know, works for the Daily Wire. He's a pretty good debater. So this is just the way everyone handles this is just so funny. So I just want to play this clip. It's just hilarious.
Ask you, Jack, about this. This was an interview with Katie Porter, who I know quite well because I appeared on the Bill Maher show with her a while ago, and it didn't go well for her. But she's the lead candidate to be the next governor of California. I have a home in California, so I have a vested interest in who. And it was an extraordinary interview that she did. Let's watch a few of the highlights here.
The question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win? I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care.
Follow-ups.
I don't care.
Well, that was with a very good reporter called Julie Watts. I think it was a CBS affiliate. I mean, Michael, let me start with you on this. I mean, it was excruciating to watch, but no real surprise. You know, I saw the prickly side of Katie Porter on the Bill Maher show when she got challenged about her worldview. It was not a great sight. Let's take a little look a bit of that first, and then I'll come to you.
We talked about people, using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
That's not what she's doing.
It's not?
I've got no truck for right against personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality.
But
She actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right. It cannot be fair.
That's the thing too. So what you've seen from this lady so far, so this woman, Katie Porter, is running for governor of California to take Gavin Newsom's spot. She's leading in the polls right now. You saw her storm out of that interview when she couldn't answer a question. There's also been reports that she was abusive towards her husband, that she's abusive towards her staff. That apparently her daughter came in crying to her when Trump ran because she was worried about not being able to get an abortion or something when her daughter's 12. So yeah, she seems like a scumbag of a person. So just keep that in mind.
The audience then burst into raucous applause, which she found completely astonishing because it's a liberal crowd. What's going on here, Michael? Why would you, if you're doing a television interview, why would you behave in such a graceless, rude, arrogant manner, do you think?
She's behaving in an entitled way because she has enjoyed entitlement, along with the Democrats, for most of her political career. And I'm sure that she sat down and thought, this is CBS News, this is a mainstream news network, it's going to be a bunch of softballs, I'm not going to have to answer anything. And she gets mild pushback. I have to give a little credit to CBS here. CBS, of the major news networks, generally does a much, much better job than the other ones do. But this is very mild pushback, and even that is so shocking to Katie Porter. If she had to endure 1/1000th the scrutiny that every Republican politician has to endure from the beginning of his career in the media, she wouldn't have made it past dog catcher of Palookaville.
Yeah.
But you're seeing a real sea change here.
Yeah, Jack, I mean, you're shaking your head, but come on, man, that was embarrassing.
Okay, so I don't even want to talk about the Katie Porter of it all. The idea that Republicans face scrutiny from the media, Donald Trump is so dementia-addled right now. He did a text interview with Jake Tapper.
So he just said Republicans don't get pushback from the media. What world is this dude living in? Like, this is the crazy thing with people like him. They think the mainstream media is nice to Republicans. What world?
Now, I'm not really a fan of Jake Tapper. I think that's a pretty sad move to do a text interview. But do we really think that Donald Trump is on the other side of that phone? No, it's Stephen Miller. It's Russ Vaught.
Actually,
He's
I do. Yeah, I
putting
can tell
together
you how I know
Spotify
it.
playlists.
I can tell you how I know because I text with Trump regularly, and it is him.
I'm sure
No,
you
just to be
do.
clear, Jack, it is him. It is him.
No,
And
okay.
here's the
But
and
the
here's
fact
the
that
yeah, but
Donald Trump has to
Jack,
do a
Jack,
text
Jack,
interview, we can't be serious right now. And he's the one
Jack, hang on.
attacking.
Jack, calm down. Caitlin Collins from CNN is in my old slot at CNN, actually, the 9 p.m. hour. Gave an interesting interview yesterday, and she was talking about the fact Trump never sleeps. When you're on Air Force One, you can't really sleep properly because he's up all the time wanting to talk to journalists. He gives more airtime to Q&As with the press and the media than any president ever. That's just a fact. Now, you may think he's got dementia, but I would argue the one that looked like he had dementia was the predecessor in the White House who never did Q&As with the press, never did any hostile interviews with anybody because he didn't have the mental acuity to do it. Trump, whatever you think of him, he's out there every day talking for an hour, 2 hours with the media.
That's the thing here is that he, like I said at the beginning of this video, he thinks Joe Biden is the greatest president to ever exist. When did Joe Biden talk to the press? The only time he did was when he had those little note cards and it would be scripted questions. Like the press could only ask specific things. He barely did any interviews, but those were also scripted. So he didn't even talk to people. Trump, regardless of what he's doing, he's always taking questions from people. So he did a stupid text interview. I don't even know what this was. It sounds stupid and pointless. Never heard of that before. But to sit there and define that as like Trump is dementia-addled because he did one text interview, as if he doesn't talk to the press for hours every single day. Like he's hopping aboard Air Force One, answering questions right in that doorway. He was just yesterday, the day before, he was meeting with a bunch of independent journalists and he took questions from the press for like an hour. Like he does it all the time. Like this dude's like in a whole different reality.
There's a big difference, though, between answering a question and responding to a question. And just because Donald
What's the
Trump's
difference between the two? It's the same thing.
Well, if you
literally
ask
synonymous.
Donald, that's not even remotely true. If you ask Donald Trump whether or not he wants to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, and he says, "Well, I don't really know who that is, and also, have you seen my ballroom?" That doesn't give you a real answer. He's responding. He can go on and talk about nonsense for an hour, but that doesn't do anything to give you a real answer to let you know what
But
this
he makes more
administration is
news.
doing.
He makes
But
more news.
it's not about news.
Yeah, but hang on,
it's not
Jack,
about
Jack.
news. It's about he's the president of the United States. He should answer
Jack,
questions.
he makes more news on a daily basis by answering questions than any other
Responding.
world leader. I mean, he does.
Responding to questions.
Well-
Piers, if you asked me a question and I started ranting about a ballroom that I'm building,
Yeah.
and that had nothing to do with the question that you asked me,
Well, I
think
asked you
as a
about-
journalist would feel pretty unfulfilled.
Well, just to, ironically,
exactly what you do.
Ironically, I just asked you about Katie Porter. You said, I don't want to talk about Katie Porter. Let's talk about the
No,
Republicans.
because I had to
so you
respond
are
to what Michael
you are
said.
a
But
glistening example of exactly
And
what
so-
you're talking about.
And do you want me to be president of the United States? No,
Not
if we're gonna talk
really,
about
no.
Katie Porter,
No.
But I didn't. No,
Let me-
I didn't think. I don't think anyone came away from
Let
that
me bring
interview
three
saying
back
maybe
in
we
here.
should
I
do
mean,
more of these to answer.
let me bring three in. For the art of the political interview, it's not that difficult, really. But when you behave like a complete arse, as Katie Porter did there, you're going to get the kind of mockery it deserves. That interview went 100,000 times bigger on the airwaves of the internet and social media because of the way she behaved than it ever would have done if she'd just answered the questions.
But Donald Trump lies. Most of his answers are lies and not truths.
Why are you
and-
talking about Donald Trump?
Well, we're talking about politicians answering questions.
You've just pulled a Jack. I've asked you one question, and you're
These
talking
people
about
are
somebody
crazy.
completely different. This is what I mean.
People are mental.
Oh, you're talking about Donald Trump answering questions, but
Okay, I just want to stop this for a second. This is crazy. So, Indian Justin Bieber here. I think he may have zoned out there, and then he just came up with something. Because you see how long that pause was. This man is like 70 years old. I think he like zoned out, and then he's like, "Crap, I'm being called on. What do I say?" But you notice how him and then the Jack guy, they're both specifically asked about the woman Katie Porter, who's a Democrat running for governor of California, and they both changed the topic immediately, both not wanting to talk about it and directed it towards Trump. They can't even say anything slightly critical about one of their own. And everything they do and everything they think and everything they say, it just all revolves around Trump. Like, I genuinely don't know what they're going to do when Trump is gone one day, like from the world, like, because they're going to be lost. Their whole personalities are going to like be gone. Like, you can't even say one critical thing like, oh yeah, she probably shouldn't have walked out. She should have answered a question. Like, you can't even say something simple like that. No one's telling you to like attack her whole living being, but they're incapable of doing that. In fact, I guarantee you a year from now, they'll probably both endorse her for governor because she is leading the polls right now. And, you know, a lot of people in California probably are going to look at that debate and be like, well, at least it's not a Republican. I'm going to vote for her because that's all that matters, right? These crazy people.
He doesn't.
I'm talking about Katie Porter.
But so, Piers, are you going to hold us more accountable for wanting to discuss multiple topics than you are the president of the United States?
No,
and if
he's
we want
not
to
on
talk
the
about
panel,
transparency,
Jack.
where's
Sorry,
the
look,
transparency? I'm glad that you asked
you're
Speaker
new
Johnson
to the
about
panel.
Epstein.
Jack,
You're
you're
really
new to
changing the
Uncensored. Here's how
subject.
this works. I get a bunch of people in, right? Unusually, I get people who don't agree with each other, and we have a civilized or sometimes an uncivilized debate. But what we do is we discuss topics. I throw it to each of you, and you give an answer to the topic. What you guys have been doing on the left side of this debate is you've been making a point like the trouble with the Republicans is you ask them one thing like Trump and they answer another, and then you both do exactly the same thing.
Look, Katie Porter should have finished her interview.
There you go.
But then Donald Trump should be more honest. Donald Trump should be more
Yeah,
honest.
Those
right
two
to Trump.
things can be completely true at the same
Directed
time.
right to
but you
Trump.
should just, in terms of an interview with a politician, you just failed as well. Because all you had to say was that, right? How hard is it to just give a straight answer
Yeah,
to a
how
straight
long did
question?
that take?
When I do interviews where I'm the subject, people ask me questions, I just answer them. I don't care. Ask me whatever you want. I couldn't give a monkey's cuss.
And I was happy to get to the end of that point if Michael hadn't so rudely interrupted me. I don't know what that's
Well, you had a
about.
chance
wait to
to
get
answer
to
it
your
straight
point,
away.
Jack.
That was
Please.
the point.
No, I was saying I didn't think it was a great interview. It certainly wasn't
Now
a great
they wanna
interview.
answer
I don't
it.
think
I thought
that
it was a
I'm breaking any news by
masterclass.
saying
Honestly,
that.
it was a masterclass in how not to conduct a political interview. But if I'm a Californian resident, and in fact, I am a California resident for a lot of the year, I've got a home there, I watch that and think, why would you vote for somebody so entitled, so arrogant, so determined to belittle that journalist who was just doing a job? I mean, it was really actually ugly to watch.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a great answer. I didn't think that that's a great response. I will say that the beginning of the question was asking, do you think that you need to win the 40% of Trump voters to win or convince some of them to win the governor's race? And Katie Porter's response was, no, that's not how math works. And I think she gave a fine answer at first. When she was continued to be asked, she should have just said, no, I want to convince those voters. She didn't. I thought the question didn't really make a lot of sense, at least mathematically. But no, there was no reason for her to
I thought it
blow
made
up.
it. I
You
thought
just
it made
keep
a lot of
going
sense.
and moving.
you what it means.
She was just making the point. Look, you got
The point of that question was to see if you, as a politician who's going to be running the whole state, would actually care about all of your constituents in the whole state. If you're saying, oh, do you think you're going to be able to win the 40% of Republicans out of the state? You should be like, I hope so. I'm going to try to. I want to win their vote. I want to serve them. I want to be their leader. Not, oh, I don't need that because 60% is Democrats. Like, that tells us that all you care about is power and getting into that position. You don't care about helping people, which I think that's what she is doing. She clearly is power hungry. If you've seen like the videos of her in the past, like screaming at her staff and stuff, she clearly has an issue. And that's truly all she cares about. So I hope people of California have seen the clips of her. And I hope her polling just plummets after all of this, honestly.
40% of the electorate there.
Yeah, and you should
If
want to
just-
convince
If you
them.
just write them off, that's not good politics, and it's a completely valid point to make. Michael, I want to play a clip from our old friend AOC, who's got into trouble for what she said about Stephen Miller.
They are scrapping and grasping at straws because they have nothing else. Laugh at them. Stephen Miller is a clown. I've never seen that guy in real life, but he looks like he's like 4'10". And he looks like he is angry about the fact that he's 4'10". And he looks like he is so mad that he is 4'10", that he's taking that anger out at any other population possible.
Well, there was a lot of pushback on this, and then she issued this apology.
I want to express my love for the short king community. I don't believe in body shaming. I am talking about how big or small someone is on the inside. Like, for example, I have no idea how tall Andrew Tate is. No idea at all. But that guy looks to me like 5'3", like 5'3", 5'4".
So she started by saying these people have nothing to go off of, and then she attacks people's height. Like, you're not even talking about any of their policies, what they think, their logic behind anything, their personal appearance. What? And then like that again, I think that was supposed to be her apology. It sounded sarcastic more than anything. Like, you're still saying being short's an insult. You just upped it to 5'3" instead. It's very strange.
Whereas,
So, Michael, I mean, being obviously very heightist, a big no-no with the woke community. And she's obviously wrong about Stephen Miller. I stood next to him at a party and he's a lot taller than 4'10". What did you make of this rather cringe-worthy double video?
Well, the apology was particularly bad because it was utter nonsense. I know. I said when I said he looked like he was 4'10", I was talking about his heart. Yeah, okay. But then her first claim, she says, "Look, I've never met this guy, but I bet he's 4'10". So I think AOC is consulting exactly the same sources that our friend Jack over here is, namely her imagination. And as you point out, Piers, Stephen Miller is obviously much taller than that. But this psychobabble typifies all of the left-wing arguments. It's obviously fact-free, but notice she doesn't take on Stephen Miller's argument about immigration. She doesn't take on his argument about law enforcement. She doesn't deal. She just tries to impute to him some kind of nefarious psychological motives. It's the same way when the left talks to us about abortion. They never deal with the actual bioethical issues. They just say we hate women or something like that. When we talk about law enforcement, they say we're racist. I don't know. And so it's all this psychobabble nonsense to avoid the real issues, because the real issues favor Stephen Miller and the Republicans and not her.
Well, Jack, you said about this, Donald Trump, not about this, but you said separately, Donald Trump doesn't want to negotiate an end to the shutdown because he's too dementia-addled to understand it. Stephen Miller is running the White House, and it's time to start calling it out. So
I do think Stephen Miller.
Your concern is that he's actually running the White House.
No, I do think that Stephen Miller is in charge of most things. I think Russ Vought is in charge of most things happening at the White House right now. Again, Donald Trump very focused on his ballroom. But Michael, little snowflakey of you. What day are we on of this AOC story, this non-story? I thought that the right liked comedy. I thought that we could make jokes again. Everyone's in their feelings. We saw Stephen Miller on Fox. He's like rubbing his eye. Verge of tears. She said that I was short and I'm bald too. Stephen Miller. Like,
is that
does
what
he
happened?
not have
That's
more
not what I
important-
saw happen
does
at all.
he have more
I don't know.
important things to concern himself with? His buddy Jesse Waters seems to think that he's a pretty swell guy. I don't know why he needs to listen to what AOC has to say and respond to it. That is all that Fox was talking about. But yeah, Piers, I do think that Stephen Miller is running things in the White House right now. I don't really think that Donald Trump is all too concerned with anything. Project 2025 was laid out for him because Trump has no interest in negotiating or governing or doing anything that isn't putting billions of dollars in his pocket through a crypto.
Bro, anytime you mention Project 2025, your whole opinion is just invalid at that point. Like, for real.
Scam. That is what Trump is ultimately interested in. So he'll have his goons take care of the rest, and he'll do his Spotify playlist and I guess make the Rose Garden look uglier.
And what in between,
he's
he's just trying to forge peace in the Middle East. It's a busy old time for him. Michael, what do I end on a story that I think enraged you as much as it enraged me? Amazon.
So I liked where Piers added that in at the end where he's like, oh, he's just trying to solve peace in the Middle East, which as of right now, there is peace in the Middle East. They agreed to the first step, Israel and Hamas. I think Hamas just fully agreed to the deal just like a few hours ago before I recorded this. So yeah, so for him to say like, oh, Trump's not running things, like you can see the huge difference, right? When Biden was in the office, his handlers were pulling him around. He obviously didn't control his Twitter account because he doesn't use Twitter. He was hidden all the time. And then when you see Trump, whenever he has a world leader, they're in the room right there. He's answering questions next to Prime Minister of Canada, Prime Minister or the leader of Ukraine, leader of the United Kingdom, whoever's next to him. He's answering questions for everyone forever. He does press conferences every single day. You know when he puts something on True Social, it's him posting it. Okay, so for him to say that is just the dumbest thing I have ever heard, especially because this dude also thinks Joe Biden's the greatest president to ever exist. So clearly there's something wrong in his head. I don't know what it is. I don't even genuinely know who this dude is. Apparently he's got a big following on YouTube, but he seems kind of stupid. And like, I don't know if he does debates often. Maybe he's just bad at debates, but it doesn't seem like he knows what he's talking about, right? So Trump does, I have criticism of Trump. He's not the perfect person. He's not the perfect president. There's definitely criticisms you can point out, but mentally he's still there. A lot can change in 3 years. He is 79 years old. As of right now, mentally, he is still there. He is still very much in charge. In fact, most of the left complains that he's too much in charge and that he's authoritarian. This dude's taking the opposite route, saying someone else is in charge, which really makes no sense at all. So, like, which is it? Is he in charge? Is he not in charge? Is he a dictator? Is he a puppet? Make up your mind on what he is, He does do a lot. There's some things he still needs to work on, I think, to help younger people. Like, the housing market's still garbage. Stuff's still expensive. There's still a lot going on that people need help with. But he does do a lot. There's peace in the Middle East now. I know he wants to fix Ukraine, Russia, which I don't know if that's going to happen. There's still a lot going on. He's fixed the border. He's deporting people. A lot of good stuff. So you got to give him credit where credit's due. And if you're going to take this route of, oh, he's not really in charge, you're an idiot. That's just the dumbest thing ever I've ever heard. So let me know what you guys think about this clip from this debate. It was definitely very interesting. As you could tell, the Jack dude and Shri Thanedar have no idea what they're talking about. They're kind of clueless. Michael Knowles looked like an absolute star here compared to the two of them. And yeah, it was just, I had to react to this because it's just so embarrassing. This is like the kind of people the left like will come on to Piers Morgan. They just don't know what they're saying. They're so used to being in their own bubble where everyone agrees with them. And when they go and get some pushback, they don't know how to respond. And they start stuttering and then they just start saying nonsense. And obviously both of them their whole mindset's just Trump, 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 Trump. And they can't think of anything else. They were asked about Katie Porter. They both directed at Trump. That's their whole personality. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. Subscribe to my other social medias in the description down below. Like the video. I'll catch you next time.